Hello, people of the internet, and welcome to episode 11 of the Unnamed Games podcast. My name's Craig, and I will be your host for this evening. Today, I have with me Mr. Alan Longfangs Howlett. How are you, mate?
I'm doing fine, mate. I'm good, thank you.
Super duper, buddy. Super duper. And we have Mr. Ratley Ratster. How you doing, mate?
Good evening, people of the internet. Yeah, I'm good.
Ooh, nice. I like that. And last but certainly not least, we have Mr. Philip Thompson. How are you, mate?
Not bad. Good evening, people of the internet.
How are we? Well, a good evening, I suppose, for this evening, but they could be listening in the morning. Who knows? That's the beauty of the internet. It's not live.
Plus, it's morning somewhere in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
5 o'clock
I
somewhere.
wish I had a pound. I wish I had a pound for every time we said the word internet.
Internet. Yeah, we'd probably have about 30 quid.
Do you want me to say internet again? So it's £31.
The
go.
internet.
Internet, 32.
This is an easy way to make money, boys. I tell you, easy way to make money.
We're on
So,
to something.
yeah, it is the PS5 launch week in the UK. So happy PS5 launch week for all you people out there who managed to pick one up. And I know they've been in pretty high demand. I've seen some mad queues out there. There was one I saw in Liverpool that was just, it looked like a mile long of people trying to pick their pre-orders up. So, and I know some people have been having issues and stuff, but we're going to go through this week, I think, mainly around PlayStation stuff and things that have been happening on the launch week. Be it that we aren't full, we don't have first-hand experience because none of us have got a PS5 yet. But we still want to talk about it, because we want to include everyone with this. And there is some really good things to talk about. So we're going to go through that. The talking points probably going to be based around PS5 as well. And then the lovely Ratley, because I got a new job this week, I've been quite busy. He's been very, very kind. He's done the running order. He's also done us a quiz, haven't you, Ratley?
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to that one.
I'll be losing that then.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty tired. My brain capacity is I'm running on like 2% juice at the moment.
You do this every time, Craig. I'm going to do rubbish. I'm going to be harmful.
Hey,
and
Alan.
But it's
Seriously,
your era, Alan. How can you
it's
complain?
your era, man. The 80s theme, as we discussed, 80s theme, man. You should be on this, I fully expect you to do well on this, Alan. I'm not just saying that. Like, there's a couple
no
where I was
pressure.
Like, I don't know, but there's a
But like I'm the youngest, as I was born within the era that we're planning to be.
But the downside is, what with it being so long ago, I have to remember a lot further back than you do.
Oh, the excuses are pouring out now. Here we go.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Brilliant. Well, we'll see soon enough. So what we'll do is we'll going to jump straight into the news, I would say. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Sony's takeover of the Tube in central London. Did you boys see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
that was pretty special.
Yeah, that is some wicked marketing. I think Ratley had something to say about what positioning of one particular one, didn't you, mate?
Well, they took it over there's that part of London where all 4 of the tube stations are visible at the same time, so you can see all 4 of them from one location. They took over those 4 it's the same station, but you get into it 4 different ways, basically. The 4 entries were all branded up, and one of them just happens to be literally in front of the Microsoft store. Yeah. So was it like epic level of trolling, or was it just like, you know what? It just happened.
Of course it was.
I could just imagine people going, right, I'm going to pop into the old Microsoft store, I'm going to pick myself up a Series X, and they get right to the drawer and they go, ooh, PlayStation.
The
turn around and walk away.
The worst thing was the store's shut at the minute because they're renovating it into an experience centre. So it's like,
mate.
And also you couldn't pick up a Series X even if you wanted to.
Yeah.
This is true. Yeah, this is true.
Yeah. We've got a friend who's managed to. He's got himself on order a Series S now, hasn't he, Phil? He said the other night, old Lee. But he's yet to get it yet. So we'll see if it gets delayed at any point. But
I think didn't he say it was like 6th of December or something? It was due. It's still a couple of weeks out, I think.
It's crazy demand for these consoles. Absolutely nuts demand for these consoles.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and just going back onto the rebranding thing, they had all down in the actual tube tunnels as well, didn't they? They'd rebranded all along the sides of the walls and stuff. Did you see it, Alan?
Yeah, I mean it's really, really impressive. It makes me think. I don't think we actually have any numbers yet, but it makes me wonder how much money they must spend, between Microsoft and Sony on these advertising campaigns. I mean, and then even going even further when you think about like Cyberpunk and the fact that it's been like delayed 3 times or 2 or 3 times, and they've had to rebrand all their advertising, and people are actually going out and looking at the post and saying, oh, they've spent absolutely thousands on this massive like advertising for Cyberpunk on the side of a building, and it says 10th of December. It's set in stone now because otherwise they wouldn't spend that sort of money, and they must have spent an absolute fortune, Sony, in doing this. But it's very impressive, and it's very well done. I was very impressed.
I think also people might have spotted if Cyberpunk had just used a little bit of Tipex on their banners on the side of the buses and just changed the number on it. Might be a little obvious.
It could have gone quite nicely with the style of the way they do their artwork and stuff, actually. A little etched out bit with a change of number.
Can you imagine if you were actually a gamer and you went for Cyberpunk? That game must be that job would be the most depressing job in the world ever. Right, get up on them buses, change the date again. Oh, all right, then.
Go on, son, get up there with the white paint, roll over it. Make it look like it was never there.
Nice. Well, Ratley, you got your hand up, mate.
Yeah,
what do you want to talk about?
I just trying to think, like, Sony obviously will have been planning this for months, right? And as was Microsoft and everyone else, and these whole console launches are planned way ahead. And I have to think, did Sony plan this like ages ago before the whole COVID thing happened, right? And they were like, so much foot traffic is going to be at these locations. We'll get so much visibility. It looks so badass. And they've paid for it months in advance, and then COVID happens, and basically no one's going to be there, like, comparatively. If so, I mean, firstly, that's not a dig at saying. I feel really bad for them because, like, that is a genius piece of marketing that has relied purely on the internet spreading it and not, people actually
exactly
intended.
That's what I was going to say. With the internet these days, you don't actually need to be there, do you?
Well, no. I mean, we never would have seen it if it hadn't been for the internet. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I think things like I say, you can do something anywhere in the world and it can still go viral everywhere. Where Microsoft did that big sort of black screen obelisk thing and had all the launch lights on it, with the green flashing Xbox symbols and stuff like that. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
That was also very cool. Makes me think of the times that these advertising campaigns haven't gone quite so well. Was it the first Watch Dogs where they put loads of like LED lighted things all around the city, and people thought it was like a bomb attack or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Like they were calling the police left, right, and centre. So they don't always get it right.
Well, there was a Dead Rising one as well where they put severed limbs around one of a zombie game. It might have been Dead Rising. They put the severed limbs around a city, and if you found the limb, you could claim a prize. And like people were seeing people with these severed limbs, and it was getting well out of hand. And I'm just like, some of this viral marketing is amazing, but by the same time, like, oh, that's dodgy.
It's a bit close to the mark, that one.
Yeah, I think so. Some little kid finds it. Mummy, what's this?
Yeah.
Or some 80-year-old grandma sort of comes out the front door to feed her cat, and it's just sitting on the top of the bin. maybe the hands poking out, and the lid's like half closed.
Just to be clear, they weren't real severed limbs. Which I'll be very, very clear about that.
That's pretty extreme marketing, that. Blimey.
Volunteers needed for a marketing campaign.
Hey, once I'm dead and gone, I'm quite happy to offer up my body for that kind of campaign.
Nice. We'll remember that, mate. Right, and do we have the rights? Do we own your body? Can we sell the bits off and get money for each limb?
We'll talk contract negotiations.
Yeah, what's the kind of depreciation with mileage on that, do you think?
Thanks, Phil.
Oh, dear.
You dropped a Phil bomb. Love it. Well, I mean, they've obviously spent a lot of money on this marketing, as a lot of companies do. And to be honest, I don't really think quite often Sony need to do that, really, with kind of the pedigree of games and stuff they put out there. And I mean, just take the launch titles, for example. The launch titles that have been coming out have been just receiving incredible reviews and just getting some great performances out of it. Have you guys seen any coverage on those games? Ratley, have you seen much going on?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I think this is, let's be honest, they've smashed this. They've absolutely smashed this. And I think it's a key differentiator of how well their launch has gone compared to Xbox's launch. Now, I mean, I love my Series X. It's a great machine, but there's definitely a lack of new things for it. There's some great games out there, and there's some great updates to existing games. But Sony have hit the floor running well and truly, like with Miles Morales for a start. That's great. The Demon's Souls remake has been nothing but praised. And whilst, again, this is a game which I have zero interest in, Demon's Souls is quite obviously just perfect for a lot of the fans out there for Sony and for those types of games.
Yeah, I think Demon Souls, Alan, that's one that would have swayed you, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, I tend to not entirely agree with what Chris was saying because, again, it comes back to what we talked about quite a few weeks ago. I think that we were talking about the marketing approach and the whole sort of like environment that Microsoft are creating, and we discussed the fact that there aren't really any launch titles for the Series X or the Series S, and that's kind of the point because it's not about the games as such; it's about the whole library and the environment of Microsoft and the Game Pass. So, they're selling you an upgraded console, but they're not saying you have to buy it to play the games that they're actually out there. And two games that have been marginally successful, I say marginally, they've both been really successful, but it's not like Demon Souls doesn't have its critics, and we'll be maybe talking about that in a while. But while it's graphically amazing and I'm very much excited and I'd love to play it, one of the things that Bluepoint Software, who've remastered it, obviously From Software made it originally, is that they haven't really changed any of the gameplay. Now, there's a reason why From Software went ahead and started making the Dark Souls series, because they ironed out a lot of the little niggles that were in Demon Souls. And the thing is, Bluepoint haven't addressed any of those issues. They've addressed graphically, yes, it's amazing, and the load times and everything else, the quality of life and changes are great, but some of the actual mechanisms within the game still suffer from the minor niggles that they had that they resolved in Dark Souls, because those haven't been addressed. So I don't think it's a perfect release, from my opinion, but still, I think Miles Morales is definitely the high point of the two, and I'd love to play that as well.
I think you were going to say something about Miles Morales, actually, weren't you, Ratley, there? Or
Just Miles Morales. I mean, I think that's a game which, we'll talk about like some stuff later on with regards to generational differences, etc. It's nice to see. I think where one thing that Sony really have delivered in this launch, which Microsoft didn't, and good for Sony for doing it, is the Miles Morales version of Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS5 definitely performs significantly differently to Miles Morales on PS4. And whilst they're the same game and you get the same basic experience playing through, there's no denying the fact that loading up the game and getting into the game in the speed it does is obviously taking full advantage of what PlayStation 5 has to offer. The thing with the ray tracing on it is fantastic. They've done a really great job of making that feel like a next-gen experience for people. Well, like I say, I won't get into it too much because I think we're going to talk a bit more about that kind of stuff later.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see that Sony have... And don't get me wrong, this is not to slam Microsoft, but when I saw certain titles were getting optimized for Series X, like, for example, Gears 5, and let's just put it on the table, is a absolutely beautiful game. I mean, it's jaw-dropping on the Series X. But there are still certain things that don't feel optimized about it. It said optimized. I thought we were going to get full velocity architecture stuff going on. It was going to load much quicker and all this sort of stuff. And that just hasn't happened. We're just getting brute force from the SSD, which again, it feels transformative in itself. But I think we really would have noticed this huge leap if they'd have gone to the length Sony has now. That might not be possible with what is holding up, where Gears 5 came from, because it is a older title. Some of the engine things might not make it possible. I don't know all that stuff. But I think fundamentally, Sony delivered that next-gen piece a little bit better with Miles Morales than Microsoft did with anything in their stable. And again,
I think
please
you're
don't think
probably right,
I'm
mate.
slating Gears 5, because honestly, like that in motion on my Series X is one of the prettiest things I've ever seen. And I don't think that game is getting the credit it deserves for how good it looks on Series X, personally. But
just as an additional there, Chris, it's also worth pointing out that Miles Morales is DLC. It's not a full game.
I've got to be honest, mate. I think that's a little bit unfair to Miles Morales. It's a shorter story, sure, but calling it a DLC is a little bit disingenuous. I think to that it's tough to call that one, but I'd say that's a little bit disingenuous.
It feels more like they've bundled the original Spider-Man in with Miles Morales, as opposed to Miles Morales is bundled in with original Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I think
Miles
Morales
story
is
and the way and the how it plays and stuff and how it's included.
I think I've seen reports of sort of 8 to 10 hours. I think it was originally planned as a standalone expansion. They probably, bumped it up a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, what do you think about the launch titles, Phil? Is there anything there that sort of tempted you to just kind of sway you over? Obviously not including the Final Fantasy game that's coming soon, because I know that really makes you want to play one.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, for me, the big one would have been Demon Souls, as you know, I'm not a big Spider-Man fan. Just don't like the character. But it's a story for another time, a deep, dark hole that we would enter into that if we discussed it.
To make people of the internet hate you.
Exactly.
I'll
I'm
write
just
that on with
saying,
you,
I don't
Phil.
like Spider-Man does that. I think, Demon Souls would have been the hook for me. And I genuinely considered it, like launch day came round and I woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning and thought, they launch at 9. Guess I could have a look and see if anywhere's got them. And I did a bit of scouting around, and both Game and Curry's PC World massively tanked their 9 a.m. launches. Like they sold consoles before 9 a.m. and then had to cancel them and refund people. But the refunds were taking like 5 to 7 days to come back, so people then couldn't go and buy them elsewhere. And Curry's in the end, I think, just cancelled its its 9 a.m. sales day for that entirely.
Really?
Yeah.
From what I understand.
Yeah,
and I think Game was... I think Game ended up starting theirs significantly later, like sometime in the afternoon. So it proved an absolute nightmare to try and buy a PS5 on launch day.
Yeah. I think really for me, the big thing, the games, I do like that when you get a new console launch, and there is a nice swathe of brand new games that come out that you can try out that really show off what the things are capable of. Like
things
you say,
can get your mates around and go, yeah, come and have a look at this.
Yeah,
it looks wicked. And
but the biggest thing that I think I kind of miss is, yes, I love the Series X controller. I think it's iterated on a pretty much perfect controller, so it's still fantastic. But I'm hearing about this haptic feedback and these adaptive triggers on the PlayStation, and there's so many people out there who've played it and tried it, have said this is the biggest next gen thing of either console, that they've said it's really amazing, and it's something you can't really put into words. You have to try it. So I'm pretty desperate to find someone who's got a PS5 console that once lockdown's finised, I can go around there and just try that damn controller out, really.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
Sorry, Phil, you go.
I was just say, like all the kind of reviews and said, it's that next level of immersion that, like we were all over it. Like when the Xbox One launched and we had the vibration sensors in the triggers, like particularly for playing, in my case, like Forza 5.
Oh, yeah.
Where you could feel like the wheels braking through the trigger, you could feel the bite point of the ABS, and this kind of haptic trigger is like next level. And I, like supposed to be able to feel the tension of like a bowstring if it's a bow and arrow, and I think that's very exciting. So
I'd be interested to try it myself, because I've never really been a fan of the whole rumble thing, because it's one of the first things I turn off in any game. Not only does it make my battery run out about 3 billion times faster, but I'm looking at a screen and I'm holding a controller. It's not like I don't feel immersed. If I want to feel more immersed, I'll get some VR goggles. So it doesn't really add any value to me personally. So I'd be very interested to try it, to see if this is the thing that's going to make me kind of go, wow, yeah, this really is the next level and an extra level of immersion.
On Alan's point, I've actually saying this is not just me slinging mud. I've seen a very few people, small people, say they literally hate it because like they've seen these trigger stops and stuff where the trigger stops working. They're like, it just breaks my game and it just messes with my head and I don't like it. And I'm like, I can see it being a little bit of a Marmite thing, but to a very small majority of people, minority of people even, I don't think it's going to be like this thing. Because like Alan says, he's in a minority where people doesn't like vibration. There will be a certain group of people who this will do their head in. But I think Sony have killed it with this controller, to be fair. Other than I don't like the mirrored sticks, the analog sticks. I still would rather have the offset sticks.
Yes, put one up on the left, set them offset.
But that controller does sound ridiculously good.
Yeah, I can't wait to have a go. They've, like I said, they've killed it in many, many ways going through, but it's not been, sort of complete plain sailing, as it, boys. There's been, a varying number of issues with some of the launch ones. Not to mention things like the SSD download queuing issues, and like people downloading wrong versions of games, and the what do they call it? The fan wine, are they calling it? I think on the
coil wine.
Coil wine. But that must be just devastating, when you get yourself a brand new console and you start getting issues with it. What are your thoughts on that, Phil?
I'd be deeply, deeply upset. I'll be honest, like I picked up my Xbox and I'm sitting there switching on, praying that nothing goes wrong with it. Like, I know there wasn't like much talk beforehand of it other than the smoking and overheating, but I'm sitting there and it's like, please don't be the faulty one. Please don't be the faulty one.
Yeah.
I'll never get another one until like next year. But yeah, the thing with the PS5 is, Ratley shared a list of the ongoing issues.
Mm.
It was rather a long list. I don't know whether to just like quickly read it off for you
It's-
guys.
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause
it's pretty expansive, isn't it?
So, I mean, there was 5 system bugs and issues that were listed. So, can't connect to the network. PS5 stores upon reboot. Ongoing power issues, issues with data transfer after initial setup if you're using the LAN port on the back or the USBs on the back. But it's fine as long as you use the front ones. Rest mode is crashing the console, which is where it normally like puts it in there, and then you can do like the screen sharing onto your mobile device, for example. They had problems issuing the data, transferring the data from PS4 to PS5 again using like network ports. They're saying do it wirelessly. If you update your DualSense controller and unplug it, which let's be honest is just common sense, you shouldn't do that, but apparently that's been an issue for people. Popping noises, HD camera or the PlayStation camera not connecting, just full stop.
Mm.
You know what? There's even more. I'm not going to read those because it sounds like I'm
Yeah.
just knocking on it now. But I think, with any new bit of tech, you're always going to have a significant number of problems at launch. We hope they iron out as many as they can, but until these things get out in the wilds, I'm guessing probably quite a lot of these issues are probably quite unexpected to them, and they'll hopefully get them sorted as quick as
I
possible.
think, you'll probably find a lot of those are software based, and that's part of the pros and cons of launching yourself with a brand new operating system. I think Xbox was knocked for kind of having a continuation of their, or a slow increase in their operating system and not a big generational leap, but actually it's kind of landed and it's been pretty smooth really because it's been beta tested for months and months and months, whereas I suppose with Sony's new operating system they've just had to kind of maybe internally beta test it and then just chuck it out into the wild, and until you get masses of people trying stuff out you're not going to pick all the bugs out, are you? But
One interesting point on that, which kind of goes back into the launch stuff actually, is that the dev kits for the PS5, they said had been available for almost like a year longer than the Xbox ones, which I thought was quite interesting because particularly like some, I don't know if we can talk about it today, but some of the games like the cross-platform, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, were performing significantly better on the PS5 than they were on the Series X, even though the Series X has a power advantage. So, they've clearly had a good amount of time testing it, but yeah, maybe it's some of those features weren't turned on maybe until they were actually kind of pushed out to the consumers, maybe.
Yeah, that's mass
Maybe that's
testing, I
what's
suppose,
caused
isn't it? Yeah. What are your thoughts on it all, Alan?
Well, there's a lot of points I want to really touch on here, and like Phil, I don't want to get into into the groove of sounding like I'm PlayStation bashing here. But the first one is really, it's like, is this acceptable? We quite often talk about games coming out that are unfinished and have lots of issues that have to be patched after the release. And then we're getting like a console launch. But I think there's a lot more into it than that, because there aren't many pieces of electronics that have essentially what is a worldwide launch across the globe. And I think it was Xbox that have managed for the first time to do a worldwide launch, whereas Sony have gone for the 2-week launch. But at the same time, it's kind of like we've got thousands of consoles out there, and we have an internet and Twitter and all of these different social media platforms that are having so much higher scrutiny of every single slight problem that immediately gets memed and shared, and everybody hears about every single issue. But I mean, the same as Phil, I've got like a long list here of issues, not just like issues that like some are software issues, some are hardware issues, but there are no numbers for how many issues there are in comparison to how many consoles were sold. And let's be relative about it. I mean, if we sold a million consoles, 1% of that is 10,000 consoles, and if half of that, 5,000 consoles, people had issues, then it'd be all over the internet like it was a massive problem. But it's a tiny percentage, and it's not fun for whoever has those issues. But let's put it into perspective, and as I say, when you're releasing a very complex piece of electronic equipment across the world, thousands of consoles, there are going to be some issues. For the software issues, I mean, they can be patched, and there are quite a few of those that have been identified for the PlayStation, a couple for the Xbox as well. But I think the Xbox, for me personally, looking at the list of issues, has had the better release with less issues. Yeah, we have got some disk drive issues on the Xbox with grinding, Wi-Fi issues. I've actually had issues with that with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where it keeps losing connection with the server, which is absolutely no problem at all, because that only affects me being able to see other people's photographs on the map or pictures on the map. So it really is a non-issue.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've talked about the quick resume and some power issues. And then the list for Sony just seems to go on and on and on. System crashes, the rest mode, as you said, charging issues for the front ports, the default PS4 issue with COD. In some ways, some of the information I'm reading, again, it seems to me that Sony have seemed to make things more difficult than they seem to be. We've already talked last week about, the ease of how it was to set up the Xbox. We've got the whole, the Xbox fast delivery system, so that, you literally just load up a game and your save game automatically downloads from the cloud and you're ready to play within seconds. And it's just so problem free. Whereas the PlayStation doesn't seem to have that, and it seems to be a serious issue that is causing people to lose save games, to lose information, and to just make the experience that much more difficult. I was watching a YouTube video just a little while ago about guys talking about the fact that the sound doesn't seem to take into account various settings. So they've been using headphones, then gone to the TV, and all of a sudden they've had to go all the way deep into the settings to find something to put it to like a 2-speaker system. Again, it's technical, I don't know. But my point is that, it just seems like Sony have made some of these things just overly complicated and not provided some of the really simple things that make for me personally, the Xbox Series X a joy to use. And no 1440p, for example, which is, you would think would be standard. No additional SSD or any type of storage that you can add onto it at the moment. So and it's like this is already being mentioned in a lot of the by a lot of the influencers. So I think overall, I'm kind of a bit divided over it. First of all, I'm thinking, maybe it's not as big an issue as some people are making out, because obviously we don't have those numbers about what sort of percentage of issues we've got, and it might just be a lot smaller, but it's just very, very visible. But I think overall, most of these issues will be resolved quite quickly by Sony, especially the software ones. And I do also understand that both Microsoft and Sony have fantastic customer service, and any hardware issues they're trying to resolve as quickly as possible. So in some ways, I think it's a bit of a storm in a teacup. Of course, it isn't if you're the one with those issues. It's the worst thing in the world. When I first got the Xbox One, I opened up the box and put it out, turned it on, and it sounded like there was a dead cat inside it, because it just didn't work. Everything had just basically, I think, had just fallen off the frame, and I just couldn't play it, and I was so gutted, and had to wait another 3 days for a second one to be delivered. Actually, that's a lie. I think Ellie went out and bought me another one. But anyway, that's not the point. She's so good to me. But yeah, so I think overall, I think this will all sort of die down a bit, and I think that once more consoles become available, I think it will be that these issues will just sort of fade into the background.
Yeah, no, certainly. Yeah, so Ratley, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, it's obviously there's a lot to talk about here, and with operating systems. And I was wondering actually if you could elaborate a little bit about the issues with downloading incorrect versions of software on Call of Duty and things as well.
It's funny
please.
you should say that. I was thinking we should probably talk about that. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, it kind of leads on from what Alan was saying a little bit. Firstly, let's just get this straight. We didn't really talk too much about problems with the Xbox last week, and I don't think that I don't want to come across as like we just here to bash Sony because we don't have PlayStations. The Xbox has its problems, and there are certainly faulty Series X out there. Some gammy Blu-ray drives out there, and some other bits and pieces that aren't quite working right. And it's a very small number of consoles, as it would appear is with PlayStation. They have sold a lot of PlayStations, and the majority are working perfectly. It's just these are a little more widespread, I think, and there's certainly more of them. And again, like you said, Craig, probably a lot of that software. But in terms of user experience, if you just move away from the bugs and the issues, user experience, one of the big articles that came out, IGN ran it, basically saying you may be playing the PS4 version of Call of Duty Cold War on your PS5, even though you've installed the PS5 version of Call of Duty Cold War. And it runs the PS4 one by default. And I think if we just talk about the way Microsoft have delivered titles on Series X and Series S over the way Sony have obviously done it on the PlayStation Store, they've obviously done something fundamentally wrong when you can download both versions, and the default one, if you have a PS5, is the PS4 version, right? Now, I know with all of us, when we first got our Series X, we were talking about it last week, right? One of the big frustrations was we had these massive downloads because we got the upgrade to Gears 5 or Gears Tactics or whatever it was, right? And it wasn't an upgrade at all. Because I remember seeing it and going like, holy hell, it's a 69 gig upgrade? What the hell? Gears is already 61 gig. Is Gears 5 now going to become 130 gig? You know, I was a bit like, that's not good. And then it turned out it was just what they meant by upgrade was, here's a whole new version of the game. We're just going to make you download and install the new version, delete the old version from your hard drive, which is fine. And no questions or issues here. I'm quite happy with that. But obviously, what it does then is it goes, right, you've got the upgraded version. We're running it on the SSD. Here you go. You're just playing that one. So it knows to do that. It knows it's a Series X machine. It knows it's got the upgraded patch, so it runs that one. Sony, on the other hand, apparently has downloaded two versions of the game. One is PS5, one is PS4, if you queued all. And then it will run the PS4 by default. It's like, how is this a thing? And then apparently, if you delete the PS4 version from your SSD, because you don't want it to be the default version, it can start the queuing bug, which will put your game into a perpetual queue, which it can't complete. And your only option is to delete the game and start again. And in some cases, you have to factory reset the PlayStation. It absolutely staggers me that ever could have been a thing. And this is, please, I don't want to be that guy. It sounds like we're ragging on Sony. Like, this is, as a consumer, the kind of stuff you want to be mad about, you know? Like, if Microsoft did this with Gears and I downloaded it all and got two versions, and I'd be fuming. Because I don't have the time or the bandwidth to do, you know, another 60. It took me days to do that because my internet is rubbish. So if I spent
I actually did that.
Yeah.
I downloaded two versions of Gears. I had one on the external and one on the internal.
Yeah.
Cried a little bit when I realised.
I had it on the external initially, and I moved it in thinking in time to upgrade it, and then the upgrade happened, and I was like, oh, this is going to be painful. But, you know, the fact that... But Phil, you did that, right? And then you realised, oh, yeah, I've got two versions. You could have just deleted the standard one, and it still would have run, okay? I think that's the big thing, is when it gets to that point where you have done the double take, you shouldn't be penalized, or you shouldn't be penalized for having downloaded them both. I don't know what the hell Sony's going on here, but they need to sort that out. And certainly, talking about like delivering the system, I think the system as a whole seems to be working great for Sony. There are definitely some bugs they need to work out, and like you said, Craig, as much as this whole new experience is fantastic, it's definitely caused them some headaches, which hopefully for everyone who has a PlayStation 5 gets fixed really quickly and they get the experience that they've paid for. I mean, I know that some people are already having the time of their life with it, and I've seen some people really happy, some absolutely beautiful custom consoles as well. Like, I have to say, the people modding PlayStation 5s are killing it. Some absolutely stunning PlayStation consoles out there that people have modded, which is a great thing because I think it looks pig ugly when it's white and black. Some of the custom mods look absolutely stunning, and I have to say, made me even go, God, quite fancy one if it was like that. Yeah.
Well, I've actually wanted to go on to something about that in just a minute, but before we did, I just wanted to talk about when you're saying about the PlayStation downloading the PS4 version. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong, but is that not something to do because it doesn't on the Xbox? That doesn't take advantage of smart delivery, does it? With the Call of Duty, you have to buy like a cross-gen version or something.
Yeah.
Is it something very? Do you think it's more to do with Activision rather than Sony?
Well, far be it from me to say that Activision would drop the ball that hard, but this is Activision we're talking about, and they do have a habit of making a fluff of things like this. I mean,
to make more money,
point, right? Who knows at this point? But I haven't heard of a single person having this problem on Xbox. So.
Yeah. It's just really, I know I'd noticed that it was you had to buy a cross-gen version rather than a standard version, and the standard version on the Xbox as well says Xbox One Series X next to it, but then the other one says Xbox One Series X, and then it says cross-gen bundle or something.
Did you not see the SKUs for that thing, mate? There was like about 20 different SKUs, and they were so confusing. Typical that Microsoft produced smart delivery. Sony didn't really jump on board with that, but they obviously wanted to do something similar. And then EA and Activision, it had to be EA and Activision, didn't it? Had to be those two who decided to go, well, we're not really supporting them, but we'll give you some free upgrades, but you have to jump through these hoops to get them. And it's like, come on. Mind you, I'd still rather that than what 2K are doing with NBA 2K. They can just jump off whatever, or Remedy and Control. Remedy and Control is disgusting as well. But let's
I think
not
that's
go into that
worse.
rant. Yeah, let's not go into that rant because I will
Yeah.
get angry about that. Because I was going to buy Control
Yeah.
on my Series X, actually. Just on that point, I was actually going to buy it because I hadn't played Control. I was like, oh, there's a next-gen version coming. And then I heard they're doing it. I was like, you can swivel, Remedy. You're not getting any of my money.
It is on Black Friday sale already, though.
Don't care.
But anyway, that's another point. So yeah, cool. Right. Well, I mean, it's nice to kind of dissect as much information as we can from a launcher, particularly not physically having them ourselves. We can only go on what we read on the internet, which it's not always the truth, but when it's in large quantities like that, I think we can trust it. But yeah, the question I wanted to go back on was Ratley had mentioned something around, and he had again just a moment ago around the white and black PlayStation with the removable plates. There was companies out there who were doing custom plates, and I think you mentioned again, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, where this company basically had to shut down. They had to cancel all the orders people had placed for these because Sony had put a cease and desist on them. Now people are taking these panels off and they are making their own panels and decorating their own panels. So I thought it'd be quite interesting, and I'm not prepped you on this at all, so it's going to be just off the top of your head. If you had a Sony PS5 and you took the panels off and you had the option to make them look any way you want, any color, any design, anything like that, what design would you have it as? And I'm going to put you on the spot first, Mr. Allen. Where would you have yours?
Arc. I mean, come on, it's got to be, isn't it? I mean, it's the game I've played the most. I play it all the time. If I'm going to have my PlayStation 5 looking how I want to look, it all legit and blinged out, I'm going to want some sort of arc design on that bad boy. Yeah. Maybe I'm going to go for a bionic T-Rex type of design. That would be really, really cool.
That would be cool.
Arc insignia on there. That would be a winner for me.
Nice.
Alan,
I like
thought
that.
you
like
just
that.
paint 176 down the side of it.
I've actually had that tattooed on my left buttock.
Don't you mean like chalk marks as though he's scratching them on the wall in tallies? Just down one side.
I'm in a padded room with the old vest on, going 176, 176.
And then maybe just to really add insult to injury, we can get a little Master Chief, but we can change him to 176 and have him like trying to bash his head through a wall.
I love that. Master Chief 176. Yeah. Excellent.
Alan Spartan 176.
Right, Phil, go on then. Since you spoke up, how would you have your PS5 custom?
Ooh, okay, so because it's a PS5, I would go for obviously a PS5 game. I think, do you know, I really like Horizon, so I would have a Horizon Zero Dawn PS5. Now, I don't know whether I'd keep it white. I would probably still want like a black background, and I'd like maybe like an outlined like thunder draw on there, like with this like laser discs firing up in the air and shooting down, and just like maybe a little Aloy in the corner about to take it out, something cool like that. Nice. You know, kind of almost like a storyboard, but in just one large image. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, cool. Go on then, Ratley. How would you have yours?
So, on the spot, thinking about it, right? So, I'm going to go for a one of my passions, and just because it's a bit of a troll on all the Spider-Man ones, I would absolutely do black suit Superman. So all black panels with like a silver Superman. That's what I would do. Black suit Superman, PlayStation 5. Yeah, because Superman. Yeah,
Yeah, nice. I like that. I think with mine, because I've seen, I don't know if it was like a mock-up or if someone had actually painted the side panels, but I saw a black variation of the PS5. And, I think I've probably said before, I think the PS5 is butt ugly. I hate the look of the thing. It's horrible. But when it has the black panels on it, it makes it look so much more sleek and less like a kitchen appliance. So what I'd really like it to have like a gloss black side panels. I have the blue lights changed to red, and then actually just to go the next level up, down the side have a moving LED light like the front of Kit.
Ooh, yeah, PS5.
Next level.
So, along with the same kind of vein of that, right? Do you guys like the curved design of the PS5? I'm personally not a big fan.
So I like it on the digital version.
It's like I said, not for me.
Digital version, I'm fine with it.
Much better on the digital version.
And then you put it on the physical version, where there's that just massive lump on the side for the disk drive, where it just looks like they kind of went, oh crap, we need to put a disk drive on this, boys. Just sellotape one to the side, and we'll just kind of make a case. Yeah, good plan, guys. Nice one. Good one. And I hate it. I just hate the look of it on that physical edition. But the digital one is nice in the design because it feels symmetrical. It feels like it's been designed, whereas the other one just feels like it's been bodged.
I controversially, I suppose, I don't really care. I'm more interested in what it does rather than what it looks like, but I do want it to look nice while it's sat on my television table, and that's probably why I prefer the design of the Xbox, because it is, in my mind, it's just inoffensive. It's plain, it's basic, it's sleek is a word that could be used, but that doesn't mean I don't like the design of the PlayStation 5. It just doesn't offend me in any way. It's unusual, and I like it when they try and push the design of things a little bit further to try and mix it up. However, I think Sony keep kind of missing the mark, really. They're trying. We've had the bread bin and now we've got the sandwich maker, but it's kind of like, I don't really mind. I wouldn't look at it and go, oh God, it looks so terrible. I wouldn't be that bothered.
Yeah, I think the digital version is, like you said, so much better. And I don't like it in the white and black, but if it was all black, would be much better. But even the white one, the problem for me is on both variations having to have that round black stand underneath it as well.
Ugh.
So it just kind of, for me, it just looks like it kind of sits awkwardly. I'd prefer it to be able to sit on its own without having that base stand. And I just think that would be much better for me personally. Sorry,
to be fair,
Phil, go on.
Craig, you can.
So
stand
with
it
the
up.
removable side panels, then surely is there not a world where a company that will assumingly do this and get shut down by Sony, well, the panels come off. So why don't they just make a squarer panel that's got little rubber feet on it? And you just put that along the bottom there, and that squares up the bottom of it. You can have the nice curvy bit on the top there, or you change both and you make it nice and symmetrical.
What you
It
mean,
can't be
just
that
like
hard.
the Xbox design?
just put it in a big box.
No, with a nice
I
little...
mean, obviously you've got a lot more license. You don't have to have it square. You can still have rounded edges or whatever you want to do. I mean, I assume it's just going to bolt into the same place, but most important, like you said, you can do it with that stupid little round stand that you have to bolt on with a screw and just have like little rubber feet on the bottom of it. That'd be much better.
Also, just to be fair to Sony, I want to be this.
Yeah.
I will say this. I keep saying to be fair to Sony. I will say this about the PlayStation. There are some really nice design touches on that. Like I really like the cut-out PlayStation logo in one corner, and I really like the fact that when you get really close to the panels, they're covered in the little triangle, X, circle, square, like iconography.
Love
That's
that.
really tasty.
Yeah, very
Like
cool
very,
feature.
very,
That's
very,
on the
very nice. Same with
controller grip as well,
yeah,
isn't
the
it?
controller's got it.
Yeah.
I think that kind of stuff. Props to Sony for some really nice
Yeah.
design there, and then they went and ruined it by putting the whole box just in this. Oh mate, ugh. I hate that thing, and that's not to say that it's not subjective. It's a subjective opinion. It's absolutely subjective opinion, but I think that thing is ugly as hell, and it's so big.
Yeah. It is a giant. Great stuff. Right. Well, I mean, that's sort of gone through most of the news, really. I think it's about time to wrap this section up. And I think what we'll do, we'll take a little bit of a break, as we normally do, and then we'll come back with a talking point. So we'll see you all momentarily.
It's going to be legend. Wait for it. And I hope you're not lactose intolerant, because the second half of that word is dairy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back after the break. It's time for our weekly talking point. And as Ratley kindly put together the running order for us, our talking point this week is actually from Mr. Thompson, Phil. He's come up with one, and he's going to share it with us right now, aren't you, Phil?
That I am. So, the talking point is, Sony say all of their first-party PS5 titles are built from the ground up for PS5, and not simply ports of the PS4 version of the game. So, the question is, what does constitute a next-gen game? For example, the same game minus like next-gen features, or, do they tweak something? It's not just the same game on the PS4, but they've put new textures in. Like, what do you guys think makes a ground-up PS5 game that still gets released on PS4? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think Ratley will go first on that one, I reckon. What do you say, Rats?
Well, yeah, I think it's a really interesting point, and it's going to sound like we're just welcome to Happy PS5 Week. We're just going to bash Sony in the face here.
So we're letting you go first, mate.
Yeah, the reality
we
is
can do damage control afterwards.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty. Yes, what you've done is create a next gen game. Have you offered a truly next gen experience because you've made the same game on PS4? No. Have you made a really good version of your game for next gen? Yes. So like I said earlier in the news, and I was talking about this, is Gears 5 is a beautiful, beautiful game. And what they've done on the Series X is absolutely stunning. It's so pretty to look at. Is it a next-gen game? Hell no! Like, yeah, it doesn't have the velocity architecture stuff, all that kind of stuff. There's no ray tracing, etc. And I know that Miles Morales has ray tracing and it takes advantage of the SSD, but at its core, it's the exact same game you play on PS4. So until, and this is not just Sony, this is Microsoft as well, until we get a truly next-gen experience. So we're talking probably, I reckon, 18 months minimum, maybe 2 years, although we could be proven wrong with that. The medium maybe has a next-gen mechanic, which will be one of the first to do it with the quick switching between worlds or the simultaneous worlds. That could be the
And
first.
don't forget
truly...
Ratchet and Clank as well.
Yeah, Ratchet and
That's
Clank.
got
Sorry,
that
When's that due?
teleporting through the different worlds.
I think that's beginning of 2021, I believe.
Yeah, so they're going to be about the same
Yes.
time, right? So they're probably going to be the two where we go, these can't be done on previous gen. These are next-gen experiences. So for me, fundamentally, no, I don't think it is a next-gen game. I don't think it is a PS5 game. It's a PS5 enhanced game. And admittedly, Sony have done this far better than Microsoft because they have gone, right, we're making two versions of the game. One is for the PS5, one is for the PS4. The PS5 one needs to be made this way, so it can be doing this. Having said that, what Microsoft haven't done at this point really is release a brand new game purely for like that purpose. So Miles Morales is obviously built simultaneously for both consoles, whereas something like Gears of War, Gears 5, for example, is an older game they've just ported and spruced up nicely. And I think, I would have liked to have seen them put a little bit more effort into that personally. I would like to use Gears, which is such a technical showcase anyway, to really kick the system off. It's possible this was supposed to be what Halo Infinite was for, and all the resources went to that, so we didn't get to see that. But I do think that it's a bit of a, what's the right word for it? A stretch, let's say, to say, yeah, this is a full PS5 experience when you can experience it all except for ray tracing and fast load times on the previous generation. Because as far as I know, and I could be wrong on this, there are no differences in terms of gameplay and story and everything like that between PS4 Miles Morales and PS5 Miles Morales. It just slicker on PlayStation 5.
Yeah, the only difference for me, from my understanding, the things I've looked at, taking Miles Morales for an example, it is, like you say, it's the ridiculously fast loading times. Just mad how quick it is. The ray tracing and stuff, and all those kind of particle effects and things. But I think something that actually changes the gameplay experience that I've seen is him coming in and out of buildings. You guys probably haven't played the original Spider-Man, so you would go to like a warehouse that's full of goons to go and take them out, and you would go to, say, like a hatch on the roof. You'd hit a button, it would turn to a brief cutscene of him climbing through, and then you'd get a load screen, and then he'd just appear in there. Whereas with this, when he's finished in an area, there's like a hole, he'll literally just thwip his old spider webs out and just fling straight out into the city. It's absolutely seamless going from the interiors to the exteriors. So I think that's something that is a real gameplay difference. But it is very much, I think you're true in what you're saying, that most of the games at the moment really are just their current gen experiences tarted up with some of the new power for next gen. We're not quite there to get these true next gen experiences. I think you've got, well, the closest at the moment is probably Dark Souls, I would say, but that's a remake of an old game. Demon's Souls. It's a remake of an old game, and it is effectively using that raw power of the GPU and the CPU to make an incredible looking game. Is it, grabbing these amazing next-gen features? No. And I think we are right. What Phil said, Ratchet and Clank is really going to show something off, and potentially the medium as well, having those two simultaneous worlds going side by side.
I was going to say, just on something I forgot to mention earlier, with when Alan was talking about Demon's Souls, and he said about it being an old game and the gameplay bugs persist. I guarantee you with that, though, and this is not a dig at like Alan's point of view, because I agree, but how many people would get mad if they took Halo Combat Evolved, for example, released a new version of it, and where we tightened the graphics up and then they changed the way it played, everyone would go nuts. So whilst I get what Alan was saying earlier, I think it's actually great they preserved the way it plays, just made it look prettier, to be fair.
It's a fine line to tread, isn't it?
Very difficult to get that right.
Yeah. You want to go next, Phil?
I mean, I guess what I was going to jump in terms of, like, next gen features, I think if it is a true next gen game, it needs to have, like you said, a feature that cannot be done on an older generation of a console. I think that's what defines that. And the game I want to bring to reference is Shadow of Mordor, and the Nemesis system in particular. So that was the idea that if you attacked an orc and you went to kill him and you didn't quite manage to kill him, he'd go away and then he'd come back stronger and he would sort of attack you, or you could kill one of his arch rivals and brand him to control him, and then you could promote him up through the ranks. And this was the next gen feature for the Xbox One and the PS4. But if you played the Xbox 360 version, it completely removed the Nemesis system. It just didn't exist. You couldn't promote the orcs. You'd just come across them and kill them. And that was a big fundamental part of that game. Like, that was the longevity of the game, was the Nemesis system. So I think that's a great example of where they made a next gen game that was also on a previous generation, but it could not have a fundamental part of the game on it unless it was on the next gen version. I think that's what we've yet to see, and that's where, like, we reference, for example, Ratchet and Clank. I think that is going to be the one to see.
I never knew that, about the Nemesis system. I didn't know that. I never looked at it on 360. I only played that on Xbox One. I did not know that the Nemesis system wasn't on 360. And I have to say,
Completely changed the game.
That would suck. I have to say, because that game, the Nemesis system was the best thing about that game. Well, the combat was amazing, but that Nemesis system made that game.
Yeah. Alan, what are your thoughts on the subject?
Well, it's kind of a difficult one for me because it's kind of asking a question that I don't think it's possible to answer. What is a next gen game? Because I remember years ago when we used to change from like one generation of console to another, and the big selling point was the bump in graphics. And sure, there's obviously a bump in graphics. The consoles are much, much more powerful and everything else. However, it's getting much harder to see the difference in the graphics. In fact, we were having conversations in the WhatsApp group this week, weren't we, about, you were trying to get 120 FPS and you couldn't see the difference. And for some people like myself, I don't even have a TV that does 120 hertz, so I can't even see that, even though it's available. So for me, it's kind of like the games are going to start utilizing the extra power of the new consoles and the new generation. And yes, the graphics will look very nice, as they do in Demon's Souls. I say very nice, I think that's understating it. It looks absolutely blinking gorgeous. But but it's really about the other quality of life improvements. And I think your story about Spider-Man is really, really indicative of that. Is that, you have things, let's just take as an example something like Skyrim, and obviously that's nowhere near a next-gen title, obviously, but, you have this thing
I'm sure it'll be on next-gen.
You say that now.
But you have this thing where, you have to load into like the cities, and you have to load into everything else. And with the speed and the, of the next generation consoles, then that means that's going to be greatly reduced. And I hate to bring it up again, but Ark is the same. When you go into a cave or something, it loads a specific instance of that area. And now that I've got the optimized version, that is just instantaneous. There's no kind of just slight lag as it kind of loads in the outside or the inside as are going between the areas. And these are all quality of life improvements that I think that we'll see. We'll see worlds that will have much more interactivity and many more objects and things that will actually make that world much more believable. But how do you define a game as next gen? I don't know. It's a tough question for me to answer, because every game that comes out as it goes through the lifespan of a new generation of console is constantly finding new ways to use that extra processing power to actually do different things. And I think especially the top tier of games, is always trying to push those boundaries just a little bit further, which is why, in a sense, and I think it's the first time we've mentioned it tonight, Cyberpunk 2077 is really, really interesting, because I don't think there's going to be any differences in terms of gameplay between the Xbox One and the Series X versions. The only differences that I've seen with the videos is a graphical upgrade. And maybe it will run smoother, and maybe definitely areas will load quicker. But does that make that a next-gen console? I don't think, a next-gen game. I don't think that does. So I have trouble answering the question as to what makes a next-gen game in totality.
It is a tough one, mate. I think that's a great example, actually, the whole Cyberpunk 2077, because I think every generation you also get these pinnacle games that straddle a generation. GTA 5 was one for last generation. There's these games that are just, which generation are they truly in? And I think Cyberpunk took so long to deliver. It started off as a last gen game and became a next gen game, current gen, whatever you want to say it is now. There's a tough one there, but yeah, did you want to add something in, Ratley?
Well, I was going to say, just for a second. Do you think that this whole next gen or current gen stuff is going to start to become a bit of a moot point as technology becomes a little more granular until we see something truly revolutionary in how we interact with games? Like VR is potentially a potential diss, or something like this. Because if you think about it, like go way back when, because we're all older gamers, right? We can remember the transition from 2D gaming to 3D gaming, right?
Oh yeah.
And think about how mind-blowing it was to have a proper 3D environment for the first time ever. Not just a faux 3D environment where you could parallax scroll it, a proper walk in and out of buildings, see 3Ds, be
Grand
able to
Theft
walk
Auto
around
3
objects.
for me.
That kind of thing was you could say, well, this is next gen, this is the next generation of consoles, and it was so obvious, right? I mean, and we'd had sort of a taste of it with the SNES with Star Fox, and then Doom came along, and Doom was kind of that game changer, and the consoles of the day couldn't really run Doom. There was a lot of bodge jobs to make it happen, right? And so 3D was without a doubt the biggest next gen experience we've had in forever. Everything else is kind of granular on top of that. It's just making 3D better. If you think about it, everything since that switch from 2D to 3D has just been better 3D. And I think that's something which once VR gets that real kill. I mean, we've had our Half-Life Alyx, there's a couple of others. Once we get VR more commonplace and people can get past just making experiences with it and true games with it, which is starting to happen, VR has the potential to be the next gen, if you like. Does that make sense, do you think?
Yeah,
this is exactly why I have a problem answering the question of what makes a next gen game, because it's really the hardware that makes the next generation, and games utilize that what that next generation of hardware to improve the environments and everything else, as you say. And going back to your Doom, I just remember back in the day playing Duke Nukem, and then then literally Quake came out about a month later. And there were
Hail to the king, baby.
Yeah, and it was a fantastic game. But the minute that Quake came out without having all those like sprites and had 3D models
3D.
for everything, then it was just like, I don't want to play Duke anymore. It's like Quake is the game I want to play. Massive advancement.
Do you know what going to Quake though? Something I'll just quickly touch on, and I'll let Phil have you jump in. I remember Quake being a pretty poor game, but like it was so revolutionary graphically. I just wanted to spend time in that experience because it was just so wow. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, Phil, sorry, I jumped in there, mate.
I'm going to say something that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I would probably put a little bit of money on it to say that the first true next-gen experience we'll see might be something from Nintendo.
No, I think
because they have a habit of thinking out of the box. Now, I'm not a big Nintendo fan. It irks me greatly that I can't buy fantastic Nintendo games and play them on other platforms. I have to play it on theirs. But at the same time, that is the Nintendo experience. If we think back to the Nintendo Wii, for example, nobody else was doing that. And all of a sudden they came out with motion controllers and a balance board. And that was brilliant. And, they were in every household in the UK pretty much. Almost everybody had a Wii. And then, they did their second screen experience with the Wii U. Okay, it didn't work out so well for the Wii U, but it worked really well on the Nintendo DS. And, almost everybody's kid had a Nintendo DS. And it makes me think, whilst I think, I love VR, I bought a VR headset, maybe that is the next thing. It wouldn't surprise me if in the next few years, Nintendo just come up with an absolute humdinger that we don't even see coming.
Yeah, I think, if you are the person that comes up with that idea that is the humdinger, you're going to be pretty rich. So the chance of us coming up with one right now is probably pretty slim.
Smell-o-vision. We don't want to come up with it right now and broadcast it to the internet, did we? Let's face it.
Alan's just done it. Smell-o-vision.
Yeah, your console will do little puffs of smells depending on the air you're in. You're in a swamp smell.
How do you think they sample swamp smell?
They go around Alan's.
That smells like swamp butt.
Yeah. Alan's been to the loo. Get the smellometer out.
Hold on, guys.
Right,
rein it in.
Before we go too far down this cesspit,
well, steady on. I didn't call Alan's house a cesspit. That was all you.
Yeah, that was not the intention. I was talking about Alan's been to the loo and just dropped one.
Well, I didn't. Yes. Anyway, I think that's probably about time to knock it on the head for the talking point. I think that's been some good stuff coming up with there. I think we'll take another break and then we'll be back for Ratley's super duper quiz. See you in a tick. Hail to the king, baby.
¿Dónde? Esta es la biblioteca. Me llamo T-Bone, la araña discoteca.
Discoteca, muñeca, la biblioteca. Es el bigote grande, pero manteca.
Manteca, bigote, gigante, pequeño. Cabeza es nieve, cerveza es bueno.
Buenos días, me gustan papas frías. Bigote de la cabra, es Cameron Díaz. Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
What? It's 2009.
Word.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Just to clarify, I wasn't calling Alan's house a cesspit. That is not what I meant. I meant Phil's mind, to be perfectly honest. So there you go, Phil. All right,
Actually
that's the
very
record
clean.
set straight.
Wow, I was not the one that talked about recording Alan's deuces. It was all Ratley.
I didn't
And
say
All right,
mine
you
was
just
a
become
cesspit.
one person.
cesspit.
Anyway, we're back now after that little break for the quiz. So I'm going to hand you over to the quiz master, Ratley, and we're going to see what he's got in store for us.
Dun dun dun! Quizmaster Ratley back into house now. Hopefully, we can be a little less controversial than last time. There are no arc related questions. So hopefully,
And
we
no
should
cat
do a lot
related
better.
questions.
No, sorry, what?
And no cat related
No
questions.
cat related questions either. Let's just keep it nice and simple and not have a falling out. Right. So,
I make no promises.
well,
And I will stir the pot if you do.
I do mean this wholeheartedly, Alan. I do think there are going to be a couple you may not know, but this is an 80s thing. There's some good 80s stuff in here. So I'm hoping this should also work for you as well, fella. So we need a buzzer from each of you. So let's start with Alan. Can I have your buzzer, please, sir?
69, dudes!
Very nice, sir. Very nice. Very nice. Craig, can I have a buzzer, please, sir?
Pity the fool!
Well, you signed up for the quiz, not me. And then, can I get one from Mr. Phil?
Get to the chopper.
Very nice, sir. Very nice. I think there's some very thematic ones without you knowing it from the questions here. So these are going to be like jump in, obviously get your buzzer in and shout it out, and we'll see. So you got 10 questions. There are some bonus points up for grabs along the way, and I have a tiebreaker should such a thing be required. Okay, so
Cool.
we'll start. Is everybody ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get to the chopper.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, so question number 1. Which animated movie stars the voices of Leonard Nimoy and Orson Welles? Gonna be very disappointed if no one gets this.
Pity the fool.
Craig?
It's an animated series. I was going to say Star Trek animated series.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
It's not that, sorry. Anybody else?
I haven't got a Scooby.
An
Oh, do you
animated
know what?
movie in the 80s.
Wait. I think... Get to the chopper.
Phil?
Oh, is it the first Transformers animated one?
It is Transformers the movie.
Yes! I had to think hard about
nice.
that. It was only
Bonus
Leonard Nimoy
point.
that got it. I don't know
Bonus
who the
points,
other guy
yeah.
wrote.
Bonus points for up for grabs, and I think there's about Snowball's hoping hell anyone's going to get these. But can you name their characters? We're going for buzzers again, boys.
I'm not a Transformers fan. I don't really know.
Pity the fool.
Great.
Maybe Megatron?
Sorry,
For
no.
someone? No, I don't know. I ain't got a clue.
Something Tron, right?
Oh, Galactus. Galactatron. Unicron. That was it.
Are you just
Unicron.
making up names here?
You're just putting words together.
Unicron.
Megalopatron.
Right, yeah, you can have a point for Unicron. Unicron was voiced by
Yes.
Orson Welles.
Yes, I remember that.
Didn't Leonard Nimoy play Optimus Prime?
No, he didn't. That was Peter Welland. Peter Welland, sorry.
Peter Cushing, isn't it?
No, not Peter Cushing. He played Doctor Who.
Oh.
Phil, any goes, or are you good?
Oh, I'm just trying to think through the characters because I know he didn't play Prime.
I'm going to push you on this one. I'm going to give you a few seconds. You've got 5 seconds.
Well, I'll take a
3.
punt at Jazz, but I'm
No.
sure it's not him because it.
No.
69, dude.
So, Alan?
The only other Transformer name I can think of is Starscream.
Sorry, but no. So he played Galvatron, who was in fact what Megatron was turned into
Megatron,
by Unicron.
of course.
There you go.
Oh, it's so much clearer now.
Of course.
No,
I feel like
yeah.
I definitely should have known that, considering I
Yeah.
managed to scrape through on the movie.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in
Yeah.
you boys for not knowing your Transformers the movie stuff. Regardless of your Transformers,
The fact
fan or
that
not,
you
it's a great movie.
The fact that you said Leonard Nimoy being jazz.
I don't know why. I just had a mind block, and I was like, "Ooh, jazz! I can think of jazz."
Voice
It's
is
like
jazz.
listening to
Well,
jazz
that's
or
it.
like Soundwave, and it clearly wasn't him because he's a bad guy. So I just had
So,
to pick
okay.
something. I panicked.
This one will
sorry.
be interesting. There'll be a point up for grabs for each of them. So if you can't get like all of them, I can give you 1 point for each. So, question number 2: can you name the original 2 female Thundercats?
I pity the fool.
Craig,
Chitara
that's 1.
and Wily Kit.
Spot on, sir. 2 points.
Boom.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, baby.
Bonus point if you can give the date when they were neutered.
Let me just phone the Thunder Vet.
Thundervets.
Now there's a TV show people would watch. Thundervets.
Oh dear. No. Question number 3. Is everybody ready for question number 3? I'm not, apparently.
Ready?
Height of professionalism, me. Get my game face on. Question number 3,
Go.
then, guys. Now, come on, you're going to let me down if you don't get this. Can you name the original 4 Ghostbusters?
69, dude.
That'll be
Nice.
Alan.
And my mind's just gone blank. Okay, so we've got Peter Venkman,
That's 1.
Ray, and I'm embarrassed. I'm going to have to drop that. My brain is
Okay,
gone
well, you
blank.
got 1.
I pity the fool.
Craig's in. You got 3 to pick up.
Yeah. So Peter Venkman, Ray Stantz, Winston Zedmore, and Egon Spengler.
Superb performance
Nice.
there. Superb performance.
Yep.
Nice.
It's only
Good
1
job.
point, but superb performance.
Yeah.
Right. Are we ready for question number 4?
Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Question number 4. What in... Got it?
69, dude. Blah, 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 blah.
Mr. Blobby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He was 90, sorry. So, question number 4. What is the name of the crime family chasing the title characters in the 1985 movie The Goonies?
Oh, 69, dude.
Alan?
The Romanos?
No, sorry.
Oh, God, it's on the tip of my tongue. Oh. I pity the fool.
Oh, Craig?
The Vassettis?
No.
Oh.
I'm willing to
I
give
have
a
no clue, just for
I'm willing to give a
reference.
clue
So,
here. I'm going to give a clue.
Go on,
The
then.
clue is there was a band named after them.
I pity the fool.
Craig?
The Ramones?
No. They were out. They were out a little bit before Goonies came out, mate. I hate to break it to you.
Well, no, I know. Oh, no, sorry. Oh, you meant the band was named after the family, not the other way round.
Yeah, there you
Sorry.
Anybody? I'm disappointed in you boys.
No.
no.
Doesn't look like it.
Okay,
Not
well,
a
we're going to
clue.
pass on it. The answer to that one
Pass.
is the Fratellis.
Of course.
Oh,
No, that wasn't what I was thinking.
now that you say that.
Chonk?
Oh.
Chonk?
So, question number
Truffle
5.
shuffle.
Okay. What is the full
Mm-hmm.
name of Michael Knight's car in Knight Rider?
Oh, man.
Get to the chopper.
Philip.
Was it the Knight Industries 2000?
Spot on, sir.
Nice work, sir.
Nice.
Spot on.
Yeah,
Kit for sure.
KITT.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
Bonus point up for grabs. Are you ready for this one?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, what was the evil version of the car which featured in 2 episodes?
I remember it. I remember the episodes.
I pity the fool.
Phil.
No,
That's Mike.
Craig.
Phil, kind of.
Okay. I can't remember the shortening for it, but it was called Car. But I can't remember what that was short for. So
All I
it's like
needed was
half
car.
an
It
answer.
was in fact car. K-A-R-R.
Yeah.
Nice. Well done, Phil.
Well done, Phil. That's
You've got to give those writers credit. They really worked hard on that TV.
Oh, yeah. Well, they were looking at the Hoff, so you know.
So there was actually the thing, the Knight Rider 2000, wasn't there, which was a remake thing,
Yep.
like a
Yeah.
re-release
Yeah.
with a new car in it, which was called Kit 2000. So it was called Kit 2000 2000.
Yeah, that was the red Pontiac, and then they remade it again as a TV series, and they used a Ford Mustang.
Oh, that
for
sucked.
Kit.
That did.
Yeah, like it was terrible.
Still
But,
watched it though.
Yeah. So, this is a good one. Question number 6. On September 13th, 1985, the world first met which iconic video game hero?
Could you repeat the question?
On September the 13th, 1985, the world first met which iconic video game hero?
Pity the
69,
Fool.
dude.
Oh, I'm going to go with Craig Just.
Mario?
It was indeed Mario. Congratulations.
Yes.
Alan, would you have got that?
Sorry, Alan, pipped it.
I'm feeling bad now. I said Alan would do well, and he's just getting... Sorry, Alan.
Oh, way to lay it on there, Chris.
I feel
Built him
guilty.
up, and now you're
I was
breaking
still
him
feeling
down.
good about myself, but now you brought it up.
I'm feeling guilty.
Gonna...
I'm feeling guilty. Here we go. Right, question
Yeah,
number
so
7.
far, Craig's called his house a cesspit. You said he'd do well, and now you're just kicking him.
So, question number 7. In the classic 1987 movie RoboCop, the title character has 4 prime directives. The 4th is classified, but can you name 2 of the other 3?
69, dude.
Alan.
You shall not do harm to civilians, non-combatants. I think that was what it was. And actually, I think that the other one might be the one that's hidden, which is you shall not do any damage to the Omnicorp.
Well, I wanted the three that weren't classified. There are 2 of the 3 that weren't classified.
They're the 2 I know. Yeah.
I pity the fool.
Gonna go Craig.
Serve and protect, and uphold the law.
So I can't give you that. I'm sorry, Craig.
No.
Get to the chopper.
Go for it, Phil.
Was it protect the innocent was one of them? And then was it like serve the public? Like they were 2 separate directives, I think.
Oh, I'm going to give you that because that's the closest anyone's got. Alan kind of said protect the innocent in a very long-winded and elaborate manner. Thou shalt not do no harm to non-combatants. I'll say that was probably protect the innocent in a very elaborate manner. Craig did get uphold the law, but his actual 3 were serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law. So I'm going to give a point.
Do I get a bonus point for the hidden one?
You can have a bonus point for that. Actually, I will give you that. It was technically any action that results in or any action to arrest a senior member of OCP will result in.
Do I get a bonus point for getting one of them right?
No.
How's that a bonus
sorry
point
for
if
Alan.
that's the question?
Tell you what, it's the whole cat thing, isn't it? Oh, yeah, that's fine. I get you.
Revenge.
Hey, I issued a public apology about that.
So, question number 8. Everyone ready?
Yep.
In the 1987 Arnie classic Predator, the title character was played by Kevin Peter Hall, but the original casting for the now infamous alien hunter was very different.
69, dude.
So, who was originally cast in the role? We're going to Alan.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yes.
It was indeed. Congratulations.
Oh, you got in there earlier.
Nice.
Good shout.
Now, there is a bonus point up for grabs here, people. And that is, Kevin Peter Hall was famous for one other role. Can you tell me what it was?
$69, dude.
Okay, we'll go with Alan.
Was it Lurch?
No, but good thinking. Good thinking. I like your train of
I
thought.
pity the fool.
Craig.
Bigfoot. Harry and the Hendersons thing.
He was indeed Harry from Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Well done.
So
I
bonus
did
point
not
for
know
Craig.
that. I had no hope on that one.
I had in my head Chewbacca, and I knew it wasn't Chewbacca. I was going, why do I keep thinking it's Chewbacca? Now I get it.
I just Peter Mayhew. I met Peter Mayhew shortly before he died. Very briefly. I say met
Yeah.
him. We were at a Comic-Con and he had to get past with his minors and he actually asked me to move out of the way. And I was like, "Yep, not a problem for you, sir." Anything. Really, really, really pleasant man. I saw him meeting people. He was just the nicest
in the
guy.
same
Such
way
a-
I met Stan Lee at Comic Con,
Yeah, there you
and
go.
I was
Exactly
actually
that.
he was about 20 feet away from me behind a wall, but I seriously met him.
But he said hello to me, and he actually interacted with me, Alan. You see, I wasn't just like psychically willing it happen. I mean, admittedly, just to get me out of the way, but he did interact with me.
176.
Don't you're just trying to cause trouble now, Craig.
Yeah, Craig's like, "Oh look, there's a fire over here. Let me go pour some petrol on it."
Yeah.
Right, question number 9. Are we ready?
Yep.
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 Which video game system was released in Japan on the April 21st, 1989?
I pity the fool.
69, dude.
Ooh, Craig just.
That was Craig first.
SNES?
No,
Or the no?
no.
Get to the chopper.
Phil,
Game Boy?
it was indeed the Nintendo Game Boy.
Oh, fuck yes.
Well played, sir.
I was thinking the SNES first, and you said that and saved my bacon there. Cheers, Craig.
Nice. Nice.
It's always
I
satisfying
was
when that
thinking
happens.
SNES as well. Well, I just remember Duck Hunt as an eternal part of my memory and playing it around my friend's house and never owning one.
That was a NES title. Just saying.
NES, yeah.
Oh, I'd have got it wrong anyway then. Thanks, Craig.
Whichever way, Craig.
Double save my bacon there.
Um,
Told you I never owned a Nintendo console.
Right, so question number 10. Which John Hughes 1980s classic movie stars Ian Mitchell Smith, Michael David Hall, Bill Paxton,
69, dude.
Alan?
Hang on, the Bill Paxton threw me. It's not Breakfast Club. 16
Not.
Candles?
No, it's not. Sorry, sir. You can buzz back in, though. I will allow that. So I'll run them again just so everyone's got the list of things. So it's Ian Mitchell Smith, Michael David Hall, Bill Paxton,
69 dudes.
Alan.
I know this film because I love this film. It is Weird Science.
Bill Paxton, Robert Downey Jr., and Kelly LeBrock. The answer is, in fact, Weird Science.
Yeah.
I had such a crush on Kelly LeBrock.
Oh, yeah, did
everyone?
we all?
Didn't
Yeah,
everyone?
yeah.
Anyone with eyes had a crush on
Yeah.
Kelly LeBrock. She was a very, very
Yeah.
good-looking lady. So
That's
anyway,
an awesome movie. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch
yes,
it.
it's
Yeah,
so much
definitely.
fun. So much fun. Just completely off the wall, zany, crazy film, but brilliant nonetheless.
And Bill Paxton as a poo monster.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen that film. Like,
It's
yeah, I
genius.
remember Downey Jr. being in it. Yeah.
So-
And obviously Kelly LeBrock.
So we don't actually need the tiebreaker. So I'll give you the final points here. So in last place is Alan with 3. Sorry, Alan. Runner up is Phil with 5, and just tipping him is Craig with 6. So congratulations, Craig. You win.
Oh, yeah, boy.
Just
Yeah.
like that.
In
Would
my
anyone like
defence,
the
that was
tiebreaker?
30 years ago for me. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it,
my
man.
brain can only hold so many memories. So, those memories have obviously been discarded into the recycle bin. I need to rewatch those movies.
I'll tell you what. We'll
Yeah, we do the tiebreaker, can't we?
go
Hell yeah.
tiebreaker for the actual win. What was the highest selling video game of the 1980s?
I pity the fool.
Craig.
Tetris.
No.
Get to the chopper.
Phil.
Pac-Man?
No.
I pity the fool.
Craig.
Mario.
Could you be more specific, please, sir? I count
Super Mario Brothers.
It was indeed Super Mario Brothers with 40.24 million units sold.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so Tetris has a higher lifetime sales than Mario, but Mario was the biggest one during the 80s. There you go. So
Right.
interesting
Nice.
tip
Cool.
for you there. Okay, so there you go. That is my 80s quiz spectacular. I hope you all enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And you know
It
what?
was awesome.
No controversy, I feel.
Tested the grey matter there.
Yeah, no controversy. That was good, Ratley. You've succeeded where I often fail.
It was almost like a walk down memory lane. It was very nice.
I am disappointed that no one got the Transformers.
So
the
walk
movie
down
off the
Alan's
bat.
recycle bin, apparently.
Yeah, it's I didn't know. To be honest, I watched the Transformers movie when I was a kid when it came out. And I think maybe I watched it again when the boys were really young, maybe 10 years ago, and I never picked up that there was anyone famous doing other voices in it. I just
Orson
didn't
Welles
really.
thing is a big hoo-ha because Orson Welles was doing an animated movie, and of course Orson Welles was a cinematic power, and he's voicing an animated character. It's like this is when animation was obviously not respected as a cinematic art form.
Yeah.
And it was a toy line as well, so it's a big hoo-ha that they got Orson Welles to voice Unicron, and then Leonard Nimoy being Galvatron. It's quite something. Yeah,
I didn't realise that they had a different actor playing Megatron to Galvatron. Didn't realise that. I thought they just put like a different synthesizer on his voice.
No, it was a different guy entirely. So yeah, they changed it again though for the series when Galvatron was in the series because obviously they couldn't get Leonard Nimoy to come back and voice all the episodes. Probably didn't have the budget.
Yeah. I had a Galvatron toy, turned into a cannon. It was a bit crap, to be honest. Anyway, on that massive bombshell.
You were so happy at Christmas when you opened that, yeah?
Well, Galvatron, not Megatron. I wanted Megatron.
Oh mate, thinking back onto it, I don't even want to describe what it looked like. It's not fit for airing. Anyway, on that note, it's a goodbye from me. It's a goodbye from Phil.
Bye.
A goodbye from Alan.
69 dudes.
And a goodbye from Ratley.
Peace out, my homies.
Get to the chopper.